Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We're so glad you're here to join us for what is apparently episode number 58. We are super excited to have Ty Park joining our crew tonight. So as always, we've got Anthony and Kevin and myself, Steve. Ty, we're so glad you're here to talk about your passion for turtles and iguanas and your exciting venture building IguanaLand. So thank you for joining us.
You're welcome, and I'm really happy that actually you guys asked me to do this. Um, it's more than PR. I want to talk about my passion. I've always loved that, and I think this is a great venue to do that. And you know, I was a turtle guy before I was an iguana guy, but unfortunately, I had a big fire at my house, and I lost my turtle collection. Back in, I believe it was 2004 or something like that. So when that happened, I could literally, I had problem actually looking at turtles. It was really devastating to me.
Yeah, I can
And
understand.
yeah, and it brought tears to my eyes so I kind of got out of turtle completely. And but I gradually, kind of got back to it, and right now I probably have about 20. I think I have about 2 dozen species of many tortoises. Um, most of them are rescues. I'm not really into breeding them right now. I just want like to have them. So I'm not really a die-hard turtle guy yet. I used to be. I'm more like a die-hard lizard guy now. But recently I caught this bug, and I really want this IguanaLand to focus a lot on chelonians. Okay, that's my focus right now in building. Um, we're probably gonna build between 150 to 180 turtle enclosures. Uh, yeah, and it'll be probably the largest turtle facility of its kind in the world. That's my goal. Um, I've been working with some of the experts in the field. Chris Hagan and James Barzak, and of course Bob Kraus. And I've been consulting with them, and they've been helping a lot with what kind of cage I need, what kind of habitat I need, how big the pond should be, things like that. So I'm in a kind of like a beginning stage of building. So I'm probably done maybe fifth of what I really want to do. But it's really exciting. I want to be the largest Chelonian center in the world, species-wise. I want to show people when they come to visit the turtle diversity, right? That's one of the things. And of course, education is very important to me. Conservation is very important to me. I talked to you guys briefly before we came on air about maybe running a turtle fest to raise funds, and things like that are very important to me. And hopefully, my goal is to raise about $100,000 for Chelonian conservation every year at this zoo. So, and I think it's very doable. We in the first year when we did the iguana fest, we raised 62,000. The second year, I believe we raised 54. So it's not a small chunk for conservation, and I think it is very helpful. Especially to some of the field scientists who have hard time getting funding.
Right.
Can I ask for those who haven't been to Iguana Fest, can you speak a little bit about what that's like? I know it's a big deal, and a lot of people who are personal friends of mine have gone year after year, really appreciate the opportunity to be a part of it. I hear a lot about the auction and how that raises money and how exciting it is for people and things like that. Can you speak a little bit about Iguana Fest for people who haven't had an opportunity?
Basically, I copied it after I went to a couple of the Croc Fest, right? There's a spring and summer and winter Croc Fest, and I've been attending those for a while, and I decided, you know what? Why don't I do this for iguana? And so, because they do need help. Out of I think like 86% of all the iguanas are like threatened or endangered. We're not talking about, most people talk about iguanas, they talk about green iguanas. Obviously, I'm talking about a lot of these island iguanas, like things like Fiji iguanas, some of these cyclurus, and some of the tinosaurus. So, yeah, I mean, I think we've been one of the probably only commercial facility that really concentrate a lot on conservation work. So I'm really happy about that, and I want to copy that and do that for turtles also. So
That's great.
So, one question, since you're building a zoo, are you aiming to be accredited by the either the AZA or the what's the other one?
ZAA.
The ZAA. Is there one of them that you're targeting?
that's not my focus right now. Maybe down the line. There's good and bad to joining those organizations,
Right.
and I'm kind of uh, I don't want to be tied into anything. As a independent, I could do things without
Right.
worrying about the rule. I mean the rules that they have. Their institutions do, and I don't think I'm ready for that yet. Just want to pursue my dream and build it the way I want it, and share my ideas and my goals. And I don't want to be sidetracked by joining one of those organizations. But having said that, I see myself joining them maybe 5 years from now, maybe 10 years from now when I'm ready. But at the beginning, no.
Yeah, that's. I was just curious. It's because it's something we've actually talked about inside the turtle room as we think long term as well. So I thought it'd be interesting to get your thoughts.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of different ways to be to join. I guess the AZA. One is I think it's being affiliated, and not a member.
Right. Related facility. Yeah.
Right, exactly. That's something that I might pursue, but I don't think I don't think I'll ever be an AZA facility.
Yeah.
Not really my goal. I want to be able to do things they kind of prohibit you from doing. Like I want to do a lot of education where it's going to be hands-on. I want people to touch animals, which zoo doesn't allow. So I really want to do a lot of that. So that might not be in tune with some of the what AZA want us to do. So I want to stay independent as much as possible.
Awesome.
Makes sense.
Great.
Now, with all the construction going on at IguanaLand, when do you foresee like it actually being finalized? I know it's going to be a forever growing process, but
I've been telling people 6 months a year ago. There's a lot of challenges that I have not foreseen. I'm kind of guy who decide to do something, I just do it. I didn't really think about all the regulations and the codes that I have to deal with. Being a public place now, being a farm or agriculture is totally different than commercial, obviously. So we have to be, for instance, the walk that we're building right now for the handicap. The grading, I mean, the rock can't be off more than a 1/4 inch, for instance.
Yeah.
Right? Bump itself. The 1/4 inch isn't too much. So some of those are the things that, like for instance, doors, the entrance doors, they have to be, ADA compliant. So everything we do have to be ADA compliant. So, and I'm really okay with that because I do want this zoo to be accessible to everyone.
okay.
Matter of fact, I'm even thinking about building, maybe, when I build a children's playground. The other day I saw a beautiful video of a swing with a wheelchair, wheelchair accessible swing. And I said, wow, that's awesome. I have never seen that.
Yeah.
So those are some things that kind of excite me. So, I want this to be welcoming place for anyone. So, and there's a chance to that obviously. So, but having to answer your question, right now I'm setting my grand opening date to be April 25th, which is the same day as the Iguana Fest.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're gonna kind of do both together. And if I don't open, we're not ready to open that day, we'll have a Iguana Fest anyway. So.
Sure. I have a follow-up question there.
Yeah.
How much of the process are you like fully in control of? I mean, to the point where like, are you fully designing it and then having them do it? Or are you bringing professionals in to make like design choices based on the topography of your land and whatnot?
Yeah, I'm a control freak. I say that right now. So I love to do everything myself, but there are just things that I can't. I mean, like for instance, like designing the bathroom.
Yeah, sure.
I have an engineer do that, right? I got architect and engineer, and putting in electric. I have to have electricians for that. But every phase of it, I let them know where I want those outlets and how many amps I want, because the heat lamp has to be there and stuff. So those are all the details I have to come up with. Like for instance, I was talking to the builder today about the pipe, the drain pipe for the pond.
Yeah,
so they have to be every 10 feet. They have to be 1 inch, 1 inch down or whatever. So those are the things that we have to do. So I rely on a lot of different builders to build a zoo, obviously. But I have two, I guess, employees that help me build cages. What I do with those is basically things like that has really never been done. I mean, if I hire somebody who's already building habitat for the zoo, you're talking about cages, probably you're talking about $1 million cages, right? That's what they built. So my budget's not that deep, right? I don't have $500 million budget to build a zoo. So, so I have to find a way to do this the right way. So basically, I need to make sure it's functional, number one, and then of course it has to be, aesthetically pleasing, and at the same time, when I want to have like 150 different species of turtles, I can't have every cage to be like 30 feet by 60 feet with beautiful rock work and a big barn. I just can't do that. So that's one of the reasons why I went to TSA to look at their facility, because they're more of a breeding center. Mm-hmm. Basically, this area will be kind of a combination of the both. It won't be just sanitary like they do it. It'll be a combination of kind of functional and aesthetic. So those are the things that keep me up at night. And believe me, I make mistakes. I try and error because nobody has ever done this before.
Who does mistakes when they're trying to make something new?
I'm sorry?
Like, who doesn't make mistakes when they're trying to create something?
Yeah, believe me, I made more mistakes than probably anybody because I try things because I'm not afraid to try anything. So once it's in my head, I just do it, and I fail a lot. But it's always been a learning experience. You just dust yourself off and keep going.
If you had to decide, if you had to choose one, you talked about how it's kind of a little bit of both, the aesthetics and the practicality of the function. Yeah, sure. If you're a reptile breeder, it's what you were kind of first, and you've been building towards this dream of yours and fulfilling that dream, making it a reality. So as a breeder who is now creating a zoo, which we know zoos have to be on some level about what brings people through the turnstiles, right? And what brings people to the zoo to see everything. So which is more important to you, breeding or display? And as a follow-up, or kind of like to take that just a step further, do you have space for animals to be off exhibit as part of breeding activity as well?
Well, yeah, that's a tough question that I've thought about many times, and I go back and forth. Right now, my plan is for iguana because I breed a lot of iguanas right now. The breeding center will be separate. All right. So I will keep my breeding center, iguana breeding center, separated from the zoo part, the public part. What I plan on doing is giving people a tour of the breeding center, and 100% of what we make there go to conservation.
Love that.
So basically, we give them a guided tour. If I'm gonna give them, ask for $10 per person, all $10 is gonna go to conservation.
That's really great.
So so you'll be separated.
Okay.
And I think that's one way. Another way to make help conservation, because when you say conservation, you got to do it, right? I mean, that means you got to. It's usually money, because without money, you can't really do much conservation, unfortunately.
Right.
Truth.
I have a really good question from Andrew over at Arizona Tortoise Compound. Ty, how many species of tortoises are you planning on maintaining if you're striving for 150 species of turtles?
That includes the tortoises or Chameleon.
Yeah.
So,
what's the breakup, you think?
I'm sorry?
What's the breakup? Is it like 100 to 50, 75 to 75?
Oh, I mean tortoises to turtles?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Well, I've been going over this with Paul and Jim and Bill just last weekend, and I have this chart right here that we worked on. I think it looks to me like we're gonna have at least 80 or so aquatic, at least. Probably about 40 or so of the tortoises, land turtles, and then rest of them probably like a semi-aquatic, a lot of land with like a smaller pond kind of thing. So that's the estimate right now. It keeps changing obviously as we, make actual acquisition and stuff like that. But this paper right now that I'm working off of, it's just kind of like our wish list. There are a lot of very rare species, like some of the forest species, obviously, are in here. And that's part of the conservation part. But more than anything, I think 90% of the people who come here are gonna know the difference, right? They're just gonna see total. They're gonna kind of see the overall the diversity of turtles. Oh, that's different. That's different. They're not gonna know the scientific names or. But having said that, the other 10% to me is very important to me. Those people who's really into turtles and tortoises, and those are the people who are really gonna do conservation work. And I want to do, like for instance, give you an example with iguanas. Because I have so many different species and many of the same species, like for instance, rhino iguanas, I have 80 adults, right? So that, because I have that facility, I could have a researcher come here and do research, something that he had to here take him 6 months to do on the field. He could do it here in a couple of weeks. Because, drawing blood from an individual animal, getting sperm from them, it's a whole different ball game doing it in a facility like this, or you actually go to the island and catch animals, and then try to draw blood and stuff like that. So, I have a trailer here for like researchers to come and do their research. I have a couple of people already done that. I also have a guest house here that I call it intern house. We're gonna be entertaining some interns from Australia soon in January. So those are some of the things that I've always wanted to do, and I'm actually doing it. So I think having this many turtles and having a breeding center like this, I think would be good for the researchers, some of the scientists to come and do their work. That's part of part of what I wanted to do.
So I have a secondary question for that as well. more touching on what you were speaking with your like the people you have working scientists and interns stuff like that coming with the amount of animals that you have there. You said you have 80 adult, rhino iguanas.
Rhino iguanas, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I can only imagine the total amount of animals you have there. Now, how many people, if you're okay sharing, do you have employed for you that are helping take care of these animals on a day-to-day basis?
Right now, I have 6 people.
6 people, okay.
Yeah, I have 6 employees.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah, and I think I probably will end up with about 20 to start. That's my guess.
Okay.
So I'm gonna have to hire a lead keeper because that's me right now. I'm lead everything. I do have a manager. Then I probably gonna have to have someone run the gift shop. I probably need somebody to do the PR. Go to the school and do all the things like Facebook. I can't. I'm not gonna be able to do all that myself. I am retired, so eventually I want to train everybody, and hopefully I don't have to spend more than half the time here because I'm gonna be granddad soon too. So that's really my plan: just train people, and I plan to spend about maybe half the time here and half the time with my family. So
okay. So if you're anticipating opening in April, okay, that's 5 months from now. You need to hire, like you said, you were trying to do 20 people, so you need to hire 14 people in the next 5 months?
Well, my plan is to build the cages first, obviously. We're doing that right now. Hopefully within that couple of months, most of the cages will be built. And then comes basically at the same time, I have to hire people and start getting animals.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it'd be a daunting task actually, but it's something that I have to do. Yeah, I don't look forward to it, especially the acquisition part. But I have other people helping me, right? I mean, the people that I mentioned before, they've really been awesome. I mean, when it comes to turtles, I rely on these guys heavily. Yeah, so it's good to have friends. For iguanas and stuff, I'm pretty much, I don't know everything, but I'm very comfortable with it. With the aquatic turtles, especially the aquatic tortoises, I'm pretty comfortable with that too. But when it comes to aquatic turtles, I'm learning a lot still, right? I used to have pet stores, so I know the basics, how to care for them and stuff. But when it comes to real nitty-gritty, I need to depend on people who really have done the work, right? So that's what I'm doing. I'm learning as much as I can so I could transfer that knowledge to my keepers. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I mean, it's crazy fun actually. So
okay. Now, so you're going to be looking. I know you don't like the acquisition part you said, but you're looking for a lot of animals. All right. Is there any? Right. I mean, we do get quite a bit of viewers. So if you want to say a couple specific ones on air right now, if somebody may know, they might be able to reach out to you somehow.
Well, chorus, one of them. Yeah, I mean, Asian bark turtles. Those are really rare to get. I think most of the other species, with my connection with the TTPG and TSA and people like you, I think once we're ready, I think we could get most of the species. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, so I'm not too worried about the acquisition. I've been getting some of the animals donated, and of course, anytime we get donation or breeding loan, we probably make a plaque for them for that case. And it came, donated by Tom Crutchfield, for instance. He donated some the snakes and stuff. So that's part of what we want to do. Also, like we're taking on some of the breeding loans. Paul mentioned, Vandershell mentioned that he's wanted to have some breeding loans of some of the animals that he has. He's kind of running out of space for some of these larger animals, so it's beneficial for both of us.
Yeah.
So I like that kind of situation where I could get these animals, because breeding is one thing, but I'm not breeding them to make money. I really like to challenge your breeding. right? So breeding loan is perfect for me. It just give me, a chance to work with these animals and breed them, and kind of like check it off the list of animals that I bred, kind of thing. It might be ego, but that's what I love doing. So, and splitting the babies with someone, even giving them away, it's not a problem for me. Okay. Breeding is not, something that obviously I want to be part of. I don't want to keep putting my funds in, all the time, obviously. So, I mean, it's been financially not challenging, but I do have a wife, so so it's anytime I need large amounts of money, I have to beg, so I mean.
Honestly, that's nice to hear, because like on any scale that happens, I want to go buy a $200 turtle. I'm like, hey, Amanda, like, look, this is. Yeah. I think I need an animal to make this product work a little bit better, and like justify it. So it's really great that no matter where you are in this, everybody's at that scale,
Yeah. They bring that up to $1 million. So it's like, you gotta ask for. Yeah. So it's. I mean, I got
million.
We agreed on certain percent of my asset or wealth for doing this, right? I'm blowing that real quick because there's so much going on here. I didn't anticipate. I literally just to get the zoning change. Lawyer fee was really. I didn't even think about things like that. The stuff that the codes and things like I have to hire someone to make sure that there's no endangered species on this ground, right? There got to be also someone has to do to make sure there's no wetland. Okay, all the things engineers come in, have to do it, and it takes money. And for instance, I didn't even think about they have to do a traffic study up front to see what kind of traffic pattern it had. Tens of thousands of dollars, things like little things that I didn't even think about.
Yeah.
So, but it's part of it. I'm just shrug it off and keep moving.
Sure. I got a couple good chat questions. So the first is from Hingeback Tortoise Central, which I think that's Tom Arbor. Hey guys, Jeremy isn't able to jump on, but he was interested in whether Ty will be building an indoor Nixus facility.
Indoor?
Yeah.
You mean for the reptiles in general, or for the
Hingeback tortoises.
Hingeback tortoises.
Oh, hingeback turtles.
Yeah.
Wow. Hingeback. I've been working with Jim Barjack. He thinks the adult can be kept outdoors. Okay, so we're working on that adult habitat now. So kind of like a box turtle-ish kind of habitat, right?
Depends on which species, but yeah.
Right. Yeah, obviously. And of course, I'm going to need help with that. But indoors right now, I don't anticipate large space for indoor. So what I'm anticipating like one building for babies, right? So that people could actually see babies, baby lizards and baby turtles and baby tortoises. So I'm kind of anticipating one room for that, one room for frogs and insects, and then another room for some of the species actually you can't really keep outdoors. Like we probably keep planicordas, like planicordas probably indoors, right? So yeah, maybe even the pancake tortoise indoors, but they don't take up large space. Mm-hmm. So those are the things that the Chameleon species we probably keep indoors. right now, I don't expect to indoor for the turtles. Let's see, 10 by 40, about 400 square feet for the indoors. I really want to keep most of the stuff outdoors.
Okay. The next question was, what has been the most challenging reptile to breed so far for you?
Oh gosh. Well, actually, I had a cyclura pigeon here on loan. I had them for about 3 years. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to breed them before they took it back. So that was kind of like, um, I don't know. It's something that I really wanted to do that I couldn't do. And of course, some of the turtles and tortoises, like for instance, I'm really not trying to breed tortoises and turtles, but it's been very challenging just keeping some of the hingeback that's been, wild caught, obviously. That's been really challenging for me. Well, breeding wise, really, I think maybe I'm too confident, but so far, if it's something that I really wanted to breed, I've been able to do it. So, right now, I'm concentrating on breeding some of the monitors. But having said that, I kind of put that aside too because I want to build the zoo first, and then I could concentrate on breeding. The iguana breeding is almost like automatic now because I have enough people trained. But when it comes to monitor, I've only been doing it for a couple of years, so I'm still learning that part, and then I need to transfer that what I've learned to my keeper. So, that having said that, I kind of stopped breeding them only because right now I'm concentrating on building the zoo right now. So once it's built, I'll go back to breeding monitors and some of the other Chameleon species. The reason why iguana species is because I've been doing it for 10 years, and it's kind of like almost routine. And all my employees know what to do. Same with the tegus. I've been doing it for 8 years. It's almost like automatic, and it just is so easy to do basically. And so kind of for tegu, challenge has been kind of it's not challenging for me anymore. So it's one of the reasons why I'm letting go of my tegu collection, breeding collection. The other reason is that they are invasive, and if they do escape, they could actually live around there, as most of the iguanas cannot. Like for instance, green iguana would never survive around there. They might survive one winter, but they can't really produce in this area because one cold winter will get rid of all of them. So.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty wild. That was honestly before you started saying that you were getting rid of your breeding group. That's what I first started thinking about. There was a documentary on Netflix about that invasive species in Florida, and tegus were like a huge problem they were facing. Some guy was even to the point where he just catch them and then sell them, so they're out of Florida. That's. Did you get a lot of flack from like people for keeping your breeding tegus?
I think it's minor, right? I think that the tegus was, and at the beginning was just challenging, and I am probably the largest tegu breeder in the world, maybe. I produce maybe 800 to 1,000 animals a year, babies, and a lot of them I export. One of the things that I've decided to do at the beginning when I was breeding tegus was because they are popular in Asian countries and Canada, I export them. That I try not to sell them locally too much because I don't, if it's possible, I don't want to compete with small breeders, right? So my idea was to breed them and export them and export as much as I can, and then wholesale the rest. So.
Okay, great. I do have another question from the audience. Terry Martins, who came in earlier, had a great question about Egyptian tortoises and where to get them. We got to speak about Ralph Hill, a fan favorite of ours.
Ralph?
Andrew, yeah, Ralph's great. Yeah.
Yeah, he's awesome. He's only about hour and a half from me.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
That's
he's in Tampa. Yeah, he's a great guy. We known each other for a long time.
I've never met him. Actually found out that he showed up in Connecticut, right, Anthony? And
Mm-hmm.
I was like, you can call me. I'm 45 minutes away.
Well, he doesn't like surprises, Kev. What do you want me to tell you?
Ralph,
He came over and ate lunch with my daughters, so it was, and they drew a picture of him and mailed it to him.
Oh, is that right? That's cool. That's great.
He liked it.
Ralph, watching. The next time you're here, we're going to Golden Corral. Okay, best restaurant on the East Coast.
Don't worry, they have those in Florida.
Whatever.
So anyway, Terry's question was: is everything hatched in incubators, or do you let them hatch in the ground naturally?
I do not let them hatch out in the ground. Everything is incubated in the incubation room. I have a 2 incubation room. One is actually 30 feet by 10 feet incubation room. I can incubate most of my cyclurus and tegus in there, and then I have smaller room for turtles and tortoises. So
that's amazing. Rooms. The incubator is a room. That's awesome.
Yeah, 30 foot by 10 foot.
Now, do you find that you go get like naturally ground hatched animals like clutches that you missed?
I never seen one.
Never seen.
I never had. Yeah. No, not in the ground. It's I'm hoping, a friend of mine who lives only about 45 minutes from me, I set him up with a pair of reptile tortoises, right? Every year he get like a dozen or so out of the ground. He doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
But no, I haven't found any babies at all here.
Okay. That's wild. Yeah.
That's really interesting.
Fire ant, because we do have a lot of fire ants around here. It's constant battle with them. And so, we haven't hatched any out of the ground. So
what is your process of finding out if an animal's gravid and like when they're laying the eggs? Because with all the different species you have, there's going to be, habits that they have. Iguanas are very good. You can see the eggs. Right? Literally, you can see the eggs.
And because I got them all outdoors with the heated houses, every cage have a little heated house. So basically, for iguanas, we turn them on when it's 50 degrees or lower at night. It's almost, we never get 50 degrees during the day. I mean, when I say never, not never, but it's very, very rare. So it's usually night temperature, and we turn on the heater for iguanas at 50 degrees. And we've been successful with that for 12 years. So anybody argue with me, that's too bad, because we've been doing it for 12 years, and we're not losing any animals, right? Some people say 60. If you want to do it, that's fine. But, for me, 50 works. We don't lose animals. In tegus, we don't give them any heater. Basically, we give, big pile of hay is what they get. At the beginning, I worried about the blue tegus being more cold sensitive, and so I gradually kind of lowered the temperature kind of thing, and I realized the blue tag was the same. They could actually take it up to almost down to freezing with the hay, and it was fine. So, so having said that, iguanas and tegus lay once a year, unlike turtles and some of the monitors. So it's very easy to schedule them, and they're almost, for instance, rock iguanas. Cuban iguana would usually breed first, and then Lucite hybrid, and then the rhino iguana would breed last. So I kind of have to schedule it all down packed, and it's almost impossible to miss them laying eggs because they're so full of eggs and they dig for days. So for me, iguana breeding is something that I could just, it's almost automatic, right? Monitors a little different, obviously, because they don't breed just once a year. You have to, find them when they're ovulating, because they do fight a lot. The male with female would routinely fight, so you got to keep them separated sometimes. So monitors been more challenging. But iguanas and tegus are really almost automatic. It's very easy.
So a question, just to change gears for a second. I really appreciate you going into the monitors and the tegus and the iguanas, because this is supposed to be a reptile show, and although we are really, really, really heavily, biased towards turtle and tortoise related things, it's become a turtle and tortoise show now over the years. But the plan was always to talk about reptiles, so it's really cool to have someone on who has such a wealth of knowledge of some of those reptiles that we don't really know as much about. But if I'm switching gears just for a second, if everyone could just entertain me for a second. So one of the things I'm fascinated about is you have a really big social media presence, and your name is really, really well known in herpetoculture and in the reptile world in general, reaching outside of herpetoculture. But there's a lot of people who perhaps will be jealous of someone who has the means to build their own zoo. People who have, because you've been kind of on the hobby side, the herpetoculture side for several years now, there are people who know you from those days as being a hobbyist who's grown into this, huge hobbyist who's been able to achieve a lot of things that the rest of us never can. So you've been out there in the public. So I know there's been some stuff like on fauna classifieds, that people kind of see you in a negative light from that, and then there's also people who just kind of will kind of say negative things because they think if they had the opportunity to do what you're doing, they would do it differently in this way and this way. So kind of how do you stay focused and keep all those things kind of compartmentalized so that you can continue to proceed the way that you have so far?
Well, I have small core of friends that help me. It's the reality that when you get large, that people are going to get jealous. People are going to try to knock you down, and I expect that. Like fauna, I don't need to go down there and defend myself because it takes too much time for me. It's a waste of time for me, right? Sure, that comes up a lot, but deep inside, I knew I did the right thing. So it really doesn't matter what other people say about that situation because I know I did the right thing. I donated 3 animals and raised $15,000, and I didn't make any. I lost $60,000 because of it, right? $60,000 that I could have gave to conservation work. For instance, the person didn't sue me because I did something wrong. He sued me because I ran a illegal raffle. Right? They got me for that. Because for me, I didn't know the rules about raffle. Right? I didn't know I had to say, for instance, you don't have to purchase anything to win. I guess that's part of the regulation that you have to say that. So she got a lawyer. She came up to me with that because apparently she had a good lawyer. Said, "Hey, you could sue him because he did he did an illegal raffle." So I lost that case because of it. So I had to pay because I ran an illegal raffle. Not because I did anything wrong. Basically, what happened was, there's a couple of different type of the tegus, right? T minus and T plus. One was more expensive. The giveaway, the raffle was for the cheaper albino kind of thing. And so that year, it just every year I get both. That year I just got the more expensive ones, right? T plus. So and I decided, okay, well, I got the more expensive one. Why don't I buy some the cheaper, less expensive albino that I was raffling from friends of mine, and just send those to them. I could have done that without telling them, but me want to be completely honest, I told everyone. I told them, look, I produce an expensive albino. The cheaper the version of the albino that you guys want, I didn't produce them therefore, do you mind if I buy from my friend of mine the stuff that, you guys won raffle for? And two people say, of course, yeah, not a problem. And the lady said that no, she wanted money. And that was okay. But somehow she kind of made it sound like she really wanted she wanted the animal, she just wanted the money. She kind of like turned me off, kind of. So basically my idea was, okay, she's going to be difficult. I'm just going to send her the tegu that I actually, the more expensive one. I'm just going to send it to her, right? Because she wanted the one that I produced. So my plan was to do that. So I asked her to send me address twice. She refused to do it. She kept asking me questions about, all this and that. I kept asking her, I'm going to send you the tegu you want. Please send me the address. And she refused. So I took that tegu and ran an auction and raised another $5,000 for the conservation work. So then, she sued me, and then they got thrown out of the court. And then she sued me in Florida for running an illegal raffle. So she got me for that because I did run an illegal raffle. I didn't even know that I was running an illegal raffle. I just wanted to do something to raise money for the charity. And apparently I did run an illegal raffle. That's so for me, I did everything right. From the start to the end. And I'm not shameful for anything that I've done, actually. And of course, the fauna, there's at least 2-3 people there who kind of hates me because we had dealings before, and then I kind of told them they're kind of like crooks. But at the same time, I don't want to go in there and attack this guy because it goes on forever, right? Mm-hmm. I didn't have time for that.
Right.
So that's the story.
I really appreciate you sharing. I think there's always so many sides to every story, and a lot of the stuff gets blown out of proportion, and especially when someone is as high profile as you are.
Right.
So I appreciate being able to hear your side and not just make this a puff piece about you building the zoo, but also talk about a little bit about what goes into kind of what it means to be Ty Park and kind of what your journey has been to where you.
It's not, some days it's tough. But I've been always a positive person. I have a lot of good friends who knows me well, knows me deep down. So I'm not too worried about other, people saying, rumors and stuff. So it comes with the territory, I think.
Sure.
I have a good question from, I don't know their actual name, but it's Turtle Hurdle on YouTube. Will you keep multiple species together in the same enclosures? If so, which ones?
Right now, I don't really plan on that. I always keep them separated. But having said that, in the future, I see maybe some like redfoot tortoises was kept with some of the spiny-tailed iguanas because technically they could eat about the same stuff, right? Of course, if you give them crickets, spiny-tailed iguanas can eat them all, right, before turtle get to it. But redfoot tortoises, they can have some kind of little bit of meat, right? So the diet-wise, I don't see any complex there. They come from the same region. So I could see myself keeping redfoot tortoise along with like some of the spiny-tailed iguanas without any problem. But so far, I've been keeping every species separated.
That's interesting. I was surprised to hear that because you keep such a wide range of things.
I have a lot of cages.
Yeah, I see that. I see that. I should say too. That's a good segue into just saying you are an amazing follow on social media. You're very current. The amount of things that you're posting, it's very. You're very active, and with all the things that you have going on right now, it's kind of just all over the place. Like here are these iguana pens that are coming in, and then here's this building, and the doors are an issue, and it has to be hurricane proof, and then here's the big aquatic turtle situation, and we're putting in drainage and all that type of thing, and just jumping from one thing to the next, and seeing how many things you're juggling all at the same time. There definitely are a lot of enclosures. I'm sure now, and there's going to be even more.
Yeah, I've been juggling balls all my life, so it's natural for me. It's you know, I'm known to do 3, 4 things in my head at the same time. So you know, like sometimes at like 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm up writing a note to myself, you know, because the idea come in my head. Um, but you know, I've had a good life. You know, raised 2 great kids. Um, um, and that was my really true goal, to be a father and make sure that my kids are kind of person who give to society. That's very important to me. You know, grow up with humility and you know, like for instance, my son, he's a trauma surgeon, and he works at you know, LA, the the worst hospitals he could find to work in. You know, gunshot victims and cars. You know, car accident victims, and he want to. I mean, you know, as someone who's graduated from like the best college in the world, like Princeton, and going to one of the best medical school, USC medical school, he could have went into something like plastic surgery and make millions, right? I mean, because that's what people who come to plastic surgery look at, you know, the diplomas and, you know, all the stuff. But he chose not to do that. He wanted to literally save lives. So he's going to be a trauma surgeon, and he's going to work in ghettos. And, you know, to me, uh, that's a good kid. You know, he cares about the poor and he cares about you know, the race relations, and that's very important to me. That I, you know, my kids are that way, and my daughter's the same way. You know, she's you know, she both are good kids, and so that's the base of my life basically. And now you know, this doing reptile stuff is kind of like sideline stuff. You know, I stayed home until you know, I didn't work. I stayed home with the kids. My wife didn't work either until my daughter went to Northwestern in 2006. She went to Northwestern in 2006. My son, the same year, I decided to send him to a private school in Minnesota. And so 2006, basically, I was free. And 2007, I bought this farm.
So when you say this farm, that's your property right now, where your home is. You talked about having the guest house, the intern spot, and then that's where Iguana Fest takes place, and that's also where the zoo will be.
Right, correct, right. And I don't see myself getting any larger than this. This is enough for me. 12 acres is plenty. You know, people say, "Hey, buy more land and stuff." I don't have that dream. I think 12 acres I could do plenty, and I think the zoo is going to be my legacy. And I'm pretty sure that after I die, someone would, you know, will take care of this zoo, and hopefully it'll last 100, 200 years from now. You know, that'll be my legacy, and I'll be long gone, and this zoo will keep going. So that's why building this zoo is very important to me.
So, I may have missed this first half second. I apologize. Your home's at the same place as the zoo, correct?
I'm sorry?
I know Anthony just asked this, but I missed the answer because my wife asked me a question.
Okay.
So, your home is in the same place as the zoo?
Yes.
I have 2 property here.
It's based off of that answer. So, I apologize.
Yeah, I have a couple of houses here on the property. So I have a manager house, and I live in another house here, and then I have LA house.
How does your wife feel about people over your property all the time?
Good question.
First of all, she's not an animal person.
At all?
Good for you. That's a good thing.
Yeah, she's just not an animal person, and I understand that. It's not something that everybody has, right? So yeah, she doesn't come here at all. So this is basically my bachelor pad. And so when I'm here, I'm just the animal guy. I have really no social life. And when I'm at home, I'm with the kids and the wife. And I have no animals. One of the promises that I made to my wife was when I was in Chicago, Inverness, I had this house with basement full of reptiles. And when I asked her if it was okay for me to buy this property in Florida, one of the things was that the candy or the basically I asked I told her that I'll take all the animals out of the house if you let me buy this farm in Florida, and she agreed. That was the icing on the cake.
Yeah.
She didn't even like animals at home. She didn't like the smell. You're gonna have animals, you're gonna smell. And she didn't like crickets, blues. Yeah, so it was a good compromise, I think.
So, on that note, I keep a lot of terrapins, and so one thing that I like to do is I live right on the shore, so I collect fiddler crabs to feed them. Not often. Maybe in the summer months, like once a month, I'll go and I'll get it so each terrapin can eat like 5 to 6, fiddler crabs. But every once in a while, the fiddler crab just crawls out, like it climbs up the enclosure and gets out, And like 3-4 days later, I think they're all gone clearly. And then I just see, because I have dogs also, so there'll be like dog fur on the ground. And I just see this little birdie thing with a crab walking around. It just has dog hair all over it. And it just freaks my wife out a lot.
No, well, I have a wife who's afraid of a lot of things. I mean, if she finds a spider at home, she'll just leave. She'll call me.
Like, we need to do this one's done.
I could be 1,200 miles away, but she'll call me and say, "Hey, you want to come and get this spider out of the house?" So it's something that hey, if you marry somebody, you have to take the good with the bad.
Yeah.
And that's the way it is. And I think, I'm very comfortable with my life right now, being able to spend my time down here with the animals, and then being able to spend my other time in LA. Basically, when I'm here, I'm totally a farmer, kind of like rural lifestyle. When I'm in LA, I'm basically in downtown LA, a couple of blocks from Staples Center. So you come down the elevator and there's everything right there. You can walk to everything. And so, both of my kids are there. So it's a good life. I mean, I have nothing to complain about, for sure.
That's awesome. So I don't currently have any questions from the chat, and I've asked a lot of questions. My mouth hurts right now. So Anthony, Steve, you guys have anything awesome?
Oh man, I mentioned to Anthony in the chat, this might be one of the easiest podcast episodes he and I have ever had. Ty keeps talking. Kevin's asking great questions. It's been very fun to just sit and just listen to Ty share his experiences through all this. I don't know that I have anything that's coming to mind right now. You've asked a lot of those great questions already.
My life now.
Let's take a pause right here, right? And we're getting, and then we'll do another 10 or 15 minutes to wrap up. But let's remind all of our viewers that tomorrow is Giving Tuesday. All right? So, we've had Black Friday and Small Business Saturday and Cyber Monday when you've been spending all your money buying all sorts of crazy stuff, right? But Giving Tuesday, whether it be the Turtle Room, the Turtle Survival Alliance, one of the Iguana conservation organizations, whoever, take some of your money that you haven't already spent on your family and friends and donate it to help save these turtles, tortoises, iguanas, etc. tomorrow. It doesn't have to be to us, right? Just make a difference with your little bit of money that's left.
It can be us, though.
It can be us, right? Not saying it has to be. We'd love for you to invest in the Turtle Room and continue to support us, but pick wherever you feel led to make that contribution tomorrow.
Yeah. Well said. Well said. Steve, you're good at that. I'm never good at that. Never, ever. So uncomfortable. I don't know what to do with my hands.
You just have to go for it, man. If it's something that needs to happen, it needs to happen.
Don't talk to me like that in front of everyone.
I want to talk to you.
Have some respect. Okay? Jeez. I'm sharing how I'm feeling, and I'm looking for a bit of validation, and you just crush me. Just in front of everybody. It's not good.
How the tides have turned.
I know. It's true. I deserve it from you.
So this is kind of relatively unrelated to all the conversation we've had. So you've got this beautiful piece of artwork right behind you, Ty. Is that a James Krause?
Yeah, that was painted by Tel Hicks.
Oh, Tel Hicks. Okay.
Right. I commissioned him to do this painting of Madagascar tortoises and the chameleons. Matter of fact, one of my passions before even turtle was chameleon, working with chameleons. Right. I used to breed a lot of chameleons before, like panther chameleons. I used to breed hundreds of them, and that was before it became popular, actually, in the 90s. So back then, you talk about no UV light. We use Vitalite, right? I was doing it in the basement, but I was able to produce hundreds and hundreds of panther chameleon. I produced ocelot chameleon. Back then, I think only one other institution produced ocelot chameleon. That was, I think, Omaha Zoo or Oklahoma Zoo. So I used to talk to Dr. Ferguson, who did a lot of research with UV lights. Mark Mitchell, who is the hospital director at LSU, the vet school. He's one of my best friends. He used to hang out with me all the time when he was a vet student, and that was in Illinois. I had a restaurant back then also, before I kind of semi-retired, and I had a secret room in the basement of the restaurant. Nobody knew about it except for a few people. Obviously, cold people didn't know about it because you can't really have a restaurant with the reptiles in the basement, right? But I did. I used to go down there during slow time with Mark, and we hang out and play with reptiles. You have Parson chameleons down there, roughneck monitors. I bred my first green iguana in the basement without any UV light or anything like that. I think that was one of the biggest challenges for me. But back then, like I said, there was no UV light. Just to raise iguanas from baby to adulthood in a basement was a challenge. And for me to go and breed them was even a bigger challenge. It's easy to do it in Florida, obviously, but that was one of my kind of like, it's green iguana, but it was one of those things that I'm really proud of. So yeah, those are the back days. What was your question, by the way?
I don't know.
I forgot the question. What was the question?
You were
about
you
the
were
painting.
gonna ask
I
about
asked about the painting. He answered it. It was
It was just by Tel Hicks.
Yep.
It was a commission that I did with him. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. We do have one last question from the audience. Ty, do you have a specific organization you donate to?
Yeah, I like to donate to International Iguana Foundation. That's been kind of a go-to organization, and also TSA has been an organization that I've been donating $5,000 to $10,000 every year. And then with the we do a lot of small donations to small rescues and stuff, but I kind of stopped that when I was doing this zoo thing, because I do get asked a lot about small donations, about animal getting sick and stuff, and I usually do a lot of it, like even the vet bills and stuff like that. I tend to send money to them, if the people I know. But with this building thing going on, basically that the small giving has been stopped. But I think looking at long term, my goal is to give at least $100,000 a year from this farm, right? And I think it's a very doable thing. So I want to keep IguanaLand is going to be called Reptile Zoo Education and Conservation Center, and it's going to be right up there. So we're going to do the education. We're going to do the conservation work. So yeah, it's a big part of what I want to do. And I think, unfortunately, I'm only few commercial breeders who routinely donate to conservation work, and I think other people, I personally think that other people should do more.
Well, thank you so much. That was a great answer, really thoughtful. Do we have any last words from you guys? Because I think we're going to roll out for the night.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you, Ty, for joining us. Your insight and your story around going on now and kind of what your thought process is going into it and what it's been like. It's a pipe dream for a lot of us, and you're actually doing it, and that's really cool. And as someone who gets giddy about visiting zoos, just to go and see the 5 or 6 or 7 or 10 or even 15 turtle or tortoise species that they have on display, the thought of a zoo having 150 Colonian species, honestly makes the hair on the back of my neck stand up in a good way.
Mouth-watering.
It is. Well, Steve likes turtle soup. That's why it's mouth-watering.
I love challenge, and I think, of course, I'm going to have a lot of people help me. You know that. I can't do this by myself. I'm going to have good staff. I'm going to have good, turtle people, lead keeper. So it's not about me. I'm just brain of it, and then, everything got to be, carried on by the keepers. So I rely on them.
Will you be looking to hire people from around the country or around the world who are interested in coming to work for you? And if so, how do they reach out?
Yeah.
Will you be...
I have a lot of people who inquire about the job, and when it's time, we'll be advertising it, and it'll be up to my manager to hire, because I've decided not to hire people myself. I've done that enough. So she has a job, and she'll be the one who will be hiring. So
That sounds great.
her name is Claire Hickman.
You're very proud of her. You show her off a lot on things and talk about how great she is. I look forward to meeting her one day.
Yeah, she's a good person, for sure.
That's great. You want a good person in a role like that.
Yeah.
That's terrific.
Well, thanks for having me, guys. I enjoyed it. Hopefully, I didn't talk, too much about other stuff. I know you guys are turtle organization, and we didn't talk too much about turtles, but I hope people forgive me for that.
It
They get enough of that on the
fantastic
shows.
anyway. Like Anthony said, when we first started the show, the idea was, all reptiles, but probably focused on turtles. But so we like getting the other reptiles back in a little bit more, and I think it's really cool to see what you're doing. It's called IguanaLand, but you're really giving some other species really grand attention through it as well. So I think it's cool to give you a chance to remind folks that, yeah, it's called IguanaLand, but it's not just iguanas. So.
Right. You look at the logo, it's cartoon character.
Right.
I want it to be family friendly, and I want kids to come in here. That's the reason why.
Yeah.
I want to educate the kids. That's why the logo is nothing serious. It's kind of like Barney-ish rhino iguana, So that kind of gives that out that this is going to be a fun place. It's going to be for kids, and that's what I wanted to do.
All right. So that's a great natural wrap up there. Thank you so much, Ty. We're really grateful you joined us. We'll have to do this again in the future. After IguanaLand's up and running, we can check in with you, and you can tell us about some of your first experiences of the first few months. Inevitably, there's going to be things that go spectacularly well, and then there's also going to be some things that you're like, man, that did not go how you expected. And those are how we always learn. So I think it'll be fun to bring you on in later this year or early next year to talk about some of those early experiences.
And we'll talk about the turtle because I have a bunch of them by then.
Yeah.
Right? And matter of fact, you guys should come down here and do an episode here.
All right.
That's what I was going to say.
That'd be fun to do sometime. Do some live ones out on the road. So before we go, everybody, reminder, our next episode is scheduled for Monday, January 6th, and our guest will be one of the Turtle Room's own, Casey Leone, will be joining us. We're going to focus specifically on the terrapin nesting project that the Turtle Room is one of the major sponsors of. And some of our partners with that include the Turtle Conservancy and the Parent Terrapin Nesting Project. So that's for January. Again, Ty, thank you so much. Anthony, pleasure as always. Kevin, great job tonight again. And see you all in a month.
Bye, guys.
Appreciate you guys.